As Florencia's grandfather laughed heartily, she asked her grandfather for a favor. Florencia realized that eventually, a situation would arise that only her grandfather's power could resolve. She contemplated finding an alternative way to approach her grandfather, fearing rejection. However, her grandfather agreed to her request, making Florencia ecstatic and grateful. Meanwhile, Florencia's father sat on the couch, anxiously awaiting the guildmaster's response to their recent business venture. When the guildmaster burst in with good news about the overwhelming orders, Florencia's father was overcome with emotion. They celebrated their success, and Florencia's father reflected on the importance of not running away from challenges. Florencia's father decided to use any opportunity to grow stronger for Florencia's sake. He also revealed his plan to step down from the business once production stabilized and pursue a new venture. The guildmaster was surprised but supportive. They toasted to their future success. Later, Florencia, in high spirits, prepared to meet a doctor for afternoon tea. She noticed the change in how the servants treated her since her father's success, recognizing the potential power that came with her family's status. She was determined to build a strong foundation for her future as the family head. Then Florencia entered Estira's room, ready to prepare for what lay ahead of her future according to her needs. Florencia arrived at Estira's place with a cheerful greeting and a fruitcake in hand. They sat down for tea and cake, and Florencia couldn't help but remember how she had adapted her plans to get closer to the cautious and wary Estira during her wrist treatment. Despite Estira's modest salary, she had a sweet tooth, and Florencia took advantage of this, using the Lombardi family's resources. As they enjoyed the cake, Estira commented on its freshness, and Florencia generously offered her the rest to take home. Estira, surprised and touched, inquired about Florencia's healed wrist. Florencia assured her it was fine but secretly felt annoyed by Estira's continued concern. To ease the tension, Florencia asked about Estira's dreams. Estira aspired to become a medical botany researcher, but worried about the academy's high costs. She had saved half the tuition and planned to apply for scholarships in subsequent years. Florencia was impressed and asked if she could help financially. Estira initially hesitated but eventually recognized Florencia's intentions. Florencia hinted at the Lombardi scholarship and assured Estira she was part of the family. They discussed Estira's dream of setting up a clinic for the less fortunate. Florencia offered to assist Estira in pursuing her dreams, mentioning her upcoming birthday and requesting a specific medicine. Estira agreed, and they discussed the Melkin medicine's properties and usage, emphasizing its beneficial effects. Florencia was determined to use it for good, not harm. Florencia found herself daydreaming during class until her classmate Claravin brought her back to reality. He asked for her thoughts on Lorraine's statement that a reliable client is a merchant's most valuable asset. Florencia agreed but added her own perspective, believing that people, rather than just clients, were the true assets for a merchant. She reflected on the transformation of the Koroi textile business under her father's leadership and how it was a testament to the importance of having trustworthy individuals to carry out the work. Florencia believed this concept extended beyond the silk industry to politics and family management. She pondered the significance of building a network of loyal individuals, emphasizing that providing what people truly needed would ensure their allegiance. Florencia admired Claravin as her top recruit and contemplated his thoughts and feelings. The class ended, and she joined the twins on her way to the banquet hall, as it was her 8th birthday. She felt a sense of change and nostalgia from her past life. At the banquet, Florencia was greeted by Lorraine and ushered toward the front. The guests marveled at the young Lombardi heirs and their aura of authority. Her grandfather welcomed her, and they discussed the lavish event. Florencia noticed the luxurious attire of the high-ranked aristocrats and understood that her grandfather's influence had brought them here. She inquired about her father's absence, and her grandfather assured her that he would arrive soon. Florencia wished for her father to wear splendid clothing for the party. Suddenly, Astana entered the banquet hall, surprising Florencia with his presence, and leaving her to wonder why he was there. Florencia's grandfather was taken aback by the unexpected presence of Prince Astana at her birthday party, given his previous aversion to the Lombardi mansion. Florencia, too, found it surprising and wondered about Astana's intentions, especially since he had initially refused to set foot in the mansion again. Prince Astana took this opportunity to apologize for his earlier behavior, explaining that his mother had scolded him for it. Florencia couldn't help but speculate on the political undertones of his visit, considering the significance of her birthday being celebrated under the Lombardi name. She felt somewhat used as a political pawn. Upon receiving a gift from Astana, Florencia admired it but couldn't shake the feeling that it was another gesture to display the Empress's power. Her grandfather soon initiated the banquet, urging her to enjoy the celebration. However, Astana insisted on following Florentia, which irked her, though she complied with his wishes. Belizak, too, was displeased, casting glares her way. As she opened her presents, including a tiara, Florentia tried to savor the moment, despite the political complexities surrounding her birthday celebration. She also noted the innocence of young Krenny, Astaliou's brother, in contrast to his family's reputation. When her father arrived, Florentia was relieved and complimented his attire. Meanwhile, Astana presented an invitation to Florentia's father, revealing an upcoming banquet at the palace where she would finally meet the second prince, Perez. This development left her both curious and anxious about the future events that awaited her. In the next scene, Florentia's aunt, Shawnette, is giving her an etiquette lesson. However, Florentia finds it challenging to follow her instructions and eventually falls to the ground, complaining about the difficulty of the lesson. Shawnette points out that part of the challenge was Florentia's slow movements and proceeds to demonstrate the proper technique herself. Florentia watches in awe as her aunt showcases her elegance and grace, asking how she achieves such perfection. Shawnette attributes it to practice and emphasizes that Florentia, being young and lacking strength, must practice diligently to adapt her body to the required movements. Despite her disappointment, Florentia understands the necessity of mastering these skills, especially to avoid embarrassment in front of the Emperor and Empress. Shawnette then pats Florentia on the head, expressing her fondness for her niece and mentioning that she always wanted a daughter like her. Suddenly, the twins' father, Uncle Vestian, enters the room, warmly greeted by his children. Florentia observes the genuine warmth between Shawnette and her husband, a rare sight within the Lombardi family. Uncle Vestian inquires about Florentia's well-being, and she addresses him politely. He promises a better gift for her next birthday, leaving Florentia amazed by his generosity. As Florentia leaves the room, she reflects on why such a lovely couple as Uncle Vestian and Shawnette ended up divorcing 3 years from the present time. In the following scene, she engages in a secretive discussion with Astira, who has prepared a special medicine for her. Astira expresses concern about Florentia's safety, and Florentia reassures her while marveling at Astira's kind and reliable nature. They exchange promises to maintain secrecy and Florentia's commitment to delivering the medicine to someone in need. Despite the risks, Florentia remains determined to fulfill her mission. Later, Florentia and her father prepare to leave for the palace. Her father reassures her, and she acknowledges the potential dangers but also recognizes her advantages as a child. Suddenly, their carriage is stopped by imperial guards for a security inspection, leaving Florentia wondering how to handle the situation with the precious medicine hidden in her bag. Florentia's father complied with the imperial guard's request, explaining his invitation and emphasizing the long-standing alliance between the Lombardis and the Dorellis. While the guards offered their apologies, Florentia observed from the carriage window. She sensed that the Empress might be deliberately stalling the carriage, despite their noble status. As her father prepared to rejoin her in the carriage, Florentia's panic swelled. She had concealed a potent Melkin medicine in her bag, which could arouse suspicion if discovered during the inspection. However, she swiftly devised a plan to avoid this peril. Exiting the carriage, Florentia concealed herself in the nearby forest, aiming to seize a golden opportunity. She contemplated the valuable information she had gathered in her past life about Prince Perez, who had suffered isolation and poisoning by the Empress. Her mission was to find him and deliver the Melkin medicine to alleviate his suffering. Deep in the forest, Florentia stumbled upon Perez, who was eating herbs to soothe his stomachache. Realizing his dire circumstances, Florentia intervened, urging him to stop and explaining her purpose. Perez, in return, introduced himself and shared his sorrowful past of isolation and the absence of loved ones. As Florentia offered him the medicine, Perez questioned her tears, but she assured him it wasn't out of pity. He revealed the harsh treatment he had endured, including the dismissal of his nanny. Florentia's empathy clashed with her past resentment towards Perez, who had seemed cruel in her previous life. She realized he may have been seeking a form of revenge against the Empress for his suffering. Perez, concerned for her safety, returned the medicine, fearing repercussions. This act of kindness from a young child in dire circumstances left Florentia deeply moved and determined to fulfill her mission to help him. Florentia, hesitant to leave Perez alone, was met with his bitter remark about her apparent death in the Empress's palace. She challenged his defeatist attitude and suggested he should have sought help rather than assuming others would abandon him. Florentia then assured Perez of her safety, backed by her grandfather's strength and unwavering protection. To help Perez, Florentia offered him candy and outlined 2 crucial tasks: taking the medicine she provided twice daily and feigning illness when someone observed him. She expressed concern about his stomach pain, hinting that he might be given subpar food. Perez, despite his initial distrust, acknowledged that he had limited options and had never received help from anyone but his nanny. Their conversation took a poignant turn when Perez pondered whether life was worth living. Florentia, taken aback, apologized and struggled to find the right words. Perez's poignant backstory revealed his determination to survive despite the odds. Perez noticed Florentia's tears and offered her candy, prompting her to assure him that everything was fine. In the background, searchers looked for Florentia. She decided to leave but promised to return with a book, and they agreed to meet again. As Florentia departed, Perez resolved to patiently await her return, and she left him behind as she continued on her path. Their chance encounter left an indelible mark on both of them, shaping their paths in the intricate web of the palace's secrets and intrigues. The scene transitions to Florentia in her bedroom, experiencing discomfort in her stomach after a meal. She reflects on her past interactions with her father and his unexpected assertiveness towards the emperor and empress. Her father explains the incident involving the imperial guards stopping their carriage and conducting identity checks, causing Florentia's surprise and unease. During a royal dinner, the king suggests unity between the Anginas and Lombardis, the two pillars of the empire. Florentia recalls her reluctance to be present in her vague memory of the meal. She contemplates the complexity of presenting the Anginas as equals to the Lombardis. Returning to the present, Florentia still feels unwell and reflects on her father's newfound assertiveness. The queen, the second prince's caregiver, hints at resentment towards the Lombardis. Florentia contemplates the complex dynamics within the palace and how her knowledge of past events guides her in this new life. In her bedroom, Florentia wishes Perez a restful night, reflecting on their recent encounter. Perez, in an aged room, follows Florentia's instructions by taking the medicine and contemplating her words. He begins to feel hope for his future. The next morning, Florentia reflects on the importance of understanding her assumptions. Her brother gives her a blue ribbon, symbolizing her proactive approach. She approaches Astera to request a recommendation letter from Dr. O'Malley. However, they learn that the letter has already been given to another student, leaving them in a predicament. Florentia expresses her determination to find a solution for Astera's situation. Astera, though disappointed, remains optimistic, prompting Florentia to pledge her commitment to securing Astera's admission to the academy that year. Florentia, now composed, sat down, and Astera inquired if she had managed to calm down. Florentia confirmed her composure and apologized to Astera for raising her voice in front of the doctor. Astera offered her herbal tea as refreshment, and they discussed the situation. Florentia explained her perspective, emphasizing that while she took action, she should have been more cautious not to create trouble for the doctor. Astera accepted Florentia's apology and clarified that she wasn't fine but had expected the outcome. Florentia inquired why Astera always underestimated her own skills. Astera attributed it to her youth and acknowledged that being under Dr. O'Malley, the Lombardi's family doctor, made her achievements seem less remarkable. Florentia defended Astera's exceptional abilities, pointing out that her medicines were effective and used by the doctor himself. She believed that Astera's expertise played a crucial role in the medicine's success. Florentia recognized the impact of hurtful words on Astera's self-esteem, drawing parallels with her own experiences from a past life. Florentia intended to obtain a recommendation letter from her grandfather, encouraging Astera to believe in her own worth. Astera was surprised but overwhelmed by Florentia's support. The scene shifted to Florentia's grandfather's office, where she requested a recommendation letter from both her grandfather and Brochel for Astera's admission to the academy. Their reactions were mixed, with her grandfather expressing reservations and Brochel being taken aback by her audacious request. Florentia continued her discussion at the dining table, where her grandfather clarified that they were discussing Dr. O'Malley's pupil, with Brochel wondering why he was present during this tea discussion. Florentia emphasized Astera's remarkable ability to create highly effective medicines, and Brochel concurred, implying that Astera did possess significant skills in the field. Florentia recounted how Astera's medicines were used by the doctor, citing an instance when Brochel had used one of Astera's ointments. Her grandfather expressed concerns about lending his name for a recommendation letter, potentially risking the Lombardi name's reputation. Brochel proposed that Florentia judge Astera's medicine firsthand to understand her skill. As Florentia sat in her room, she recognized the challenge of finding a medicine that would impress both her grandfather and Brochel. Wanting to assist her father, she inquired about his recent size, and he revealed he had been pondering a challenging task. Florentia advised him to seek advice if needed. They discussed the task, which intrigued Florentia and made her admire her father's ingenuity. She suggested involving Sir Pellet for guidance in their business venture. Florentia believed that her father needed an adult figure's support and advice and suggested involving Sir Pellet, who had always been helpful. She considered that innovation often arose from addressing common discomforts, recognizing the potential for success in her father's business endeavor. As she headed out to meet her friend Estira, Florentia pondered the possibility of both her and Estira's wishes coming true if their plan unfolded as hoped. The scene shifted to Estira's laboratory, where she was engrossed in an experiment, ensuring the viscosity was just right. Suddenly, Dr. O'Malley knocked on the door and entered, inquiring about the various scents in the air and identifying the ingredients she had been using, particularly the mysterious red powder. He probed further, questioning the significance of her experiment. Estira, avoiding eye contact, responded to the doctor's inquiries. He expressed his concerns, hinting at Florentia's involvement and her seemingly reckless actions. Estira defended Florentia, stating that she was merely trying to help. Dr. O'Malley, emphasizing his role as her mentor, questioned the kind of mentor who would allow their disciple to stray from the right path. He apologized for misunderstanding Estira's desire to join the academy and advised her not to be overly ambitious, but to faithfully learn under his guidance. He promised to provide her with a recommendation letter himself, either next year or the year after that. The doctor mentioned an encounter with the Flan Guild leader who expressed gratitude for the recommendation letter provided to his son. He shared the man's appreciation for the medical ingredients and alluded to rumors about a commoner child receiving a recommendation letter from the Lombardi family, highlighting Estira's youth as a contributing factor. Dr. O'Malley expressed hope that Estira wouldn't embarrass herself or tarnish the Lombardi family's reputation. He accepted a ring as a token of gratitude from the man and acknowledged Estira's understanding. He cautioned her about the potential consequences of her actions and assured her that he would find a different reason to refuse her a recommendation letter next year. Estira, showing her determination and recalling Florentia's words of encouragement, explained her commitment to meeting Florentia's expectations and proving her skills in medicines. Despite a moment of anger from the doctor, Estira vowed to do her best, and Dr. O'Malley reluctantly allowed her to proceed, cautioning her one final time. As Estira reflected on this encounter, her body shook, and she contemplated whether she had made an irreversible mistake. Despite the uncertainty, she believed in herself and was determined to follow Florentia's confidence in her abilities, even if others considered her a fool. Seated in chairs, Florentia and Estira observed the medicine that Estira had meticulously prepared. Florentia expressed her intention to open the container, and upon doing so, she was greeted by the pleasant scent of the medicine. Estira proudly mentioned that she had paid special attention to the formula. As Estira gently applied the ointment to her hand, Florentia felt a soothing, cooling sensation on her skin. She reflected on her two primary requirements for the medicine: its ability to soothe swelling and infections, along with an herbal formula that provided a cooling effect. Florentia suggested increasing the concentration of the stronger drug to enhance its quick and potent action. Estira introduced a vital herb used in the formulation, recognizing it as a key element in the creation of peppermint. Florentia took the ointment in her hands, pondering its potential use for her grandfather's sore leg. Estira reminded Florentia of the dedication and effort put into creating the balm. She shared her personal experience of applying the ointment to her own arm, noting its effectiveness in reducing pain and improving her skin's condition. Florentia contemplated adapting the formula for other purposes by removing a herb, considering the potential broader applications. Florentia recalled a conversation where Brachel and the Duke expressed physical discomfort, prompting Florentia to realize the ointment's potential broader market. She proposed producing a limited amount for high-ranking aristocrats as gifts and a less potent version for public sale. Estira would receive a share of the proceeds as the creator. Returning to Florentia and Estira, the latter acknowledged that Florentia's unwavering belief in her had led to this opportunity. She pledged to excel in academics and not disappoint Florentia. Florentia, in turn, requested Estira's help in finding a cure for the disease Tellenbrew, emphasizing the importance of the herb rosin. They held each other's hands, and Estira agreed to do her best despite the uncertain outcome. In another scene transition, the setting shifts to Grandpa Duke's location, where Brochel engages in a friendly conversation with Florencia's grandfather. Brochel notices the Duke's excellent mood and, while discussing Florencia, expresses his deep admiration for her intelligence and cleverness. The Duke agrees, sharing his own high regard for Florencia's abilities. He contemplates whether other people will appreciate the ointment that Astera has created, emphasizing the need for 2 letters of recommendation and a scholarship for Astera. He requests that Florencia provide Astera with the proceeds from the ointment sales, as per their agreement with the old Lulac. Brochel concurs, expressing gratitude to Florencia for her contributions, believing that she is paving the way for a brighter future for the Lombardi family. Both men see a promising future for the Lombardi family. The scene then transitions to a room where Galahad and the Duke's assistant sit across from each other. The assistant holds a letter in his hand, and Galahad, feeling nervous, wonders if there's an issue with his business plan. The assistant initially surprises Galahad by describing his plan as brilliant, but Galahad seeks clarification, fearing any potential complications or ties to the Durac Guild Master. Galahad assures the assistant that this is his independent endeavor. The assistant, curious about Galahad's family's knowledge, questions if anyone else has been informed about the plan. Galahad mentions Florencia but emphasizes that she was just a child when he spoke about it. Galahad suspects a connection between the Durac Guild Master, the Anginas, and the Empress. The assistant, shocked by Galahad's bold business plan, offers his partnership, expressing admiration for Galahad's initiative and the potential of the plan. Galahad hesitates but ultimately agrees, with the assistant offering his support and resources. As they part ways, Galahad inquires if the Duke suggested seeking advice from the assistant, who is surprised by the question. Galahad reveals that it was his daughter, Florencia, who recommended consulting the assistant based on his knowledge. The scene unfolds in a cozy room where Florencia and Lorraine are present. Lorraine is skillfully working on Florencia's hair and offers compliments on how the vibrant red color suits her. In return, Florencia admires how white looks wonderful on Lorraine. They share a moment of camaraderie and the visual transformation Lorraine has undergone, likening her to a May Lily fairy. Florencia values Lorraine's company and beauty. However, her contentment is disrupted by Sir Claravan's peculiar behavior over the past 10 days. She perceives his gaze as predatory, akin to a hawk eyeing its prey. To address this unease, Florencia asks Lorraine to move away, and as they depart, Sir Claravan approaches them. He inquires if they are leaving, which surprises Florencia, making her realize she might have overreacted initially. Claravan clarifies his intention to meet Galahad and invites Florencia to accompany them. They proceed to her father's office. Upon their arrival, they find Galahad and Sir Claravan engrossed in a tea-infused conversation, primarily related to the business plan. Florencia can't quite grasp the details but discerns that affordability and accessibility are key aspects. Claravan suggests targeting a wealthy minority to create a trickle-down effect among commoners. Florencia finds this shift puzzling, considering the business's original goal of making clothes readily accessible. She interjects, expressing her concern about allowing someone else to purchase the same unique item and highlights her father's vision of accessibility. Florencia suggests introducing more luxurious options once people are accustomed to regular clothing. Claravan's unexpected smile and changed demeanor leave her puzzled and wary. As she enters an empty classroom, Florencia's sense of unease deepens, wondering about the odd turn of events. In the room, Florencia's curiosity about the empty classroom and Sir Claravan's mysterious demeanor prompts her to confront him. She shares her goal of making Astera's ointment widely known and supporting Astera's talent without relying on the Lombardi name or Claravan's assistance. Claravan questions her roundabout approach and mentions he was observing her closely. Florencia acknowledges Claravan's vigilance but clarifies her desire to achieve her goals independently. Claravan assures her he's not angry but wants to know her next steps. They share their determination to move forward with mutual understanding. Florencia discusses her intention to learn about the family and aristocratic dynamics, strategically building her reputation over time. She emphasizes her desire to earn trust and respect genuinely. Claravan agrees with her approach and expresses curiosity about her potential. They recall her earlier answer in class regarding a merchant's valuable assets and her desire to have trustworthy people. Claravan suggests a hypothetical situation of revealing her plans to Vise, but Florencia dismisses it. She asserts her determination to secure her position as the family's head. Claravan ponders the Pellet Corporation's success after gaining independence and its connection to him. He acknowledges rumors about his ambitions and how he may have helped the Lombardi Guild during its crisis. He asks Florentia to allow him to be part of her team, and she hesitates, cautioning him to be prepared for the challenges ahead. This conversation reveals their complex mentor-student relationship, characterized by mutual respect, curiosity, and Florentia's calculated approach. Claravan is intrigued by Florentia's determination and her potential role in the family's future. In Florentia and Galahad's room, they both got ready for the Lombardi lunch banquet. Galahad complimented Florentia's choice of attire, and they exchanged compliments about each other's appearance. Florentia considered the family event's purpose, even though it might not have the desired effect on her uncle, aunt, and cousin. As they stepped outside, they found Claravan waiting for Galahad. He explained the urgency of discussing a rollout in 10 days. Florentia excused herself, reflecting on Claravan's recent involvement in her plans. While thinking about accelerating her original plan, Vestian suddenly struck her and left without offering help. The twins, Giliu and Mayron, approached Florentia, asking if she was hurt. They explained that their father, Vestian, didn't have a fondness for their cousins, assuring Florentia that it wasn't her fault and they could be honest with her.